Hi, everyone. Hey, I'm just getting here just a few minutes early to see who else is in here, and it looks like maybe nobody yet except for me, and that is fine because I am just waiting for my tea to steep, and then we will begin. Um, so tonight we're going to be talking about pivoting and what that means and how to do it. And TLDR, I don't know. We're going to brainstorm about that and just come up with some ideas. And I'll tell you what I'm doing, and we'll find out. So, if you just entered the viewing room, I sure would love it if you just type in the chat. Let me know you're here, and we'll soon get started. All right, I'm going to pour my tea. It is 6:59. Way time to get started. Hi, Shawan. Welcome. Have you been before to one of my teas? I don't think you have. Tonight, I am drinking rose oolong. It's kind of an old tea that's been sitting in my cabinet for a while. Well, good. I'm so glad that you're here. And as people come in, we'll talk more. And one of the things that we're going to do is talk about um, pivoting when things change. Good evening, Megan. Welcome. I think this is your first time too, isn't it? To a tea with me. Okay, great. I'm so glad that y'all are here. I'm, as I said, drinking rose oolong that is actually kind of old, but I still love the way it smells. Cheers, everyone. So while we're waiting for a few more people to show up, if they do at all, why don't you tell me a little bit about a time when things changed in your life drastically, suddenly, without you being having any warning, and then you pivoted and you turned it around and made it something good. Go ahead and just type in the chat and tell me something about it. So August started with me doing my first release, my first collection release. And then the very next Monday, I was supposed to be at school because I am a public school teacher. And so but I couldn't be there because I had to have cataract surgery. Hence the reason I don't have glasses on tonight, because I no longer need them. They fixed my eye where it will focus just fine without them within an 18-inch range. So I missed the first day of school, and I missed the first hour of the next day of school. And that wasn't with kids, that was just the teachers thing. And then I went back to school and I started realizing that they were going to have us come back in person. And as a music teacher, that means that I would need to see 500 students a week face to face. And I personally have some what they call comorbidities for the virus. Plus, my mom is very immunosuppressed because she's on chemo and has been for 2 years. And I just couldn't see that being a wise decision to be around 500 kids per week. So I had to make the difficult decision to take leave from school and disability. I won't be going back until February at least. And so pivot is what I have to do because that's unpaid leave. And so I need to make the business that I've been slowly building over time into something that can support me at least for a few months. So, what about you, Megan? Have you ever had a chance to, when something like that happened, that you had to make a pivot and you were successful at it, or you weren't successful at it? How about you, Shawan? Someone else just showed up. I don't know who it is. Hey, if you just showed up, go ahead and type in the chat box. Let me know you're here. I'll give you a shout out. I'm drinking tea, rose oolong. Come on in and join the conversation. We're talking about pivoting in changing times tonight. So, Stuart Davies wants me to know how to glaze an oil painting. Anybody watch Stuart Davies? Hey, Kyle. Hi, Kelly. Hi, y'all. All my friends. I'm so glad to talk with y'all tonight. Like I said, we're talking about pivoting. So we've all had a chance, I guess, to pivot this year, what with the COVID and everything like that. So what did you do to pivot? How have you pivoted? Has there been another time in your life when you had to pivot? And were you successful? There was another time in my life when I had to pivot, and it was sudden as well. As many of you know, I am a widow. I have been for 22 years. No, sorry, 20 years. And my husband was killed suddenly in a hit and run accident. So that was a big pivot, and it was super, like, just very weird. It took a long time to figure out how to make a successful go of the rest of my life without him and with 4 children. So I've done it before, but I feel like this time's completely different. Kyle says, yes, I keep thinking day job will have to let me go. I have had to pivot before. So great. So you've had to pivot before, Kyle. Tell us about it. Give me a few details. And did you feel successful? What was the most successful strategy for you when you were pivoting? So for me, like I said, this time it's completely different. You kind of have to realize that I did not enter the full-time 9 to 5, or as it turned out to be more like 6:30 to 6:30 working working woman job until 2012. And so I was still quite a bit older. Shawan says, yes, pandemic, lost job and switched over to selling masks and handbags on my Etsy shop. Got me through the tough times. Shawan, are you back to work? And are you still on Etsy after all the uproar? So that's the first time I entered the workforce at all. And so I was really innocent of the workforce kind of thing, and had no idea what I was getting into. Kyle says, I told my freelance business what my situation was, And they sent me a lot more work. Semi-successful. Okay, good. Yeah. That sounds wonderful. You already had like a side gig, Kyle, and so you just bump that up. That's great. Megan says, I guess COVID has me in my current job longer than I thought. I was going to take a test, but that got canceled. I am looking for something that fits my schedule better. So I can tell you that the schedule that I now have, which is like wandering through my days trying to build my business right now, is much preferable to my day job, much preferable. So Kyle says, always try to have a back door. Kyle, I've been trying to build my business for a while, but I felt like I had more time. So I was trying to build it slowly and organically. And plus, I had to realize that I had to budget my time and my energy for it because I'm a low energy person, and having to go full tilt at work left me very little energy for working on my business. But now I have the freedom to really kick it in. I don't know that it's doing that much more good, but I'm kicking it in. And I was ready to pivot if I needed to. It just wasn't ready for me to support me fully, if you know what I mean. Shawan says, no, not back to work yet. I'm setting up online shop through Shopify. I'm keeping a toe in the Etsy pool until I can shift over completely. Good for you, Shawan. I've never had that much to do with Etsy, although I do sometimes buy a few things off of their teacups, for example. But I always felt like it looked a little bit more overwhelming to get in and to get seen and all that stuff. So I'm pretty happy with the fact that I'm got my own website with my own e-commerce platform. I'm using WooCommerce, and the few times people have actually purchased through my e-commerce platform, it's been super smooth, super intuitive, and very easy. So I'm really glad about that. Of course, I hope more people will visit my website and purchase more paintings, but time will tell. Kelly says, I would love to pivot to full-time artist, but can't afford to right now. Kelly, I felt the same way. I felt like I couldn't afford to either, but I also couldn't afford to get sick and die because I have all the comorbidities, or get my mom sick and have her die as she is so sick. So it came to a choice between um, working and not working. Those were my options. So anyway, I'm ready to pivot. And if you got my newsletter, if you are on my newsletter, I listed out the things that I've done. I'm really excited about one particular um, project that I've started. I've become an OutSchool teacher, which I didn't even know that existed. And now I'm an OutSchool teacher, and I've taught a few classes, and it's a really exciting platform. And I'm looking forward to developing some really meaty courses to go on there. It's for children, and that made me happy because I really enjoy teaching children. Kyle says, it's tough. Might try making small, less expensive stuff. Not sure if that would help. Something I'm working on. Yeah, the OutSchool platform is really exciting. So if any of you, you don't have to have a teacher's certificate to go on there and teach. If you like teaching children and you don't mind the online platform, I highly recommend you look into it. I can give you a referral link if you want one. And look into that because I don't know. It really boosted my confidence. My confidence was at an all-time low for teaching this year due to other circumstances that had nothing to do with COVID or cataracts or anything like that. And I was afraid maybe I just didn't need to be in teaching at all. But as soon as I started teaching on OutSchool, I realized I do love the kids. I do love teaching. There were other things that were causing me to lose my confidence in that. And I'm not a bad teacher either. So I really that's been very encouraging to me. Hey Tammy, welcome in. Not a problem. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you typed in the comments someone left. So I hope they'll be back. So tonight, Tammy, we're talking about pivoting whenever things change suddenly in our lives, and we're discussing ideas, and we're telling each other about our pivoting experiences and just encouraging one another. So I happen to be drinking some rose oolong tea tonight, and hope you're drinking something yummy as well. Kelly says invested in a printer to sell prints and make cards. I saw that over on Discord, Kelly, and it's a little intriguing to me. But there's just something that I don't know. I have sold one or two prints off of Fine Art America. And the people who got them told me that they looked really nice, but I just can't imagine pastel translating well to a print. Maybe it's okay, but I just can't see it having the brilliance and I, I don't know. So I understand that it's cheaper and that that's the way some people can purchase it. I do have those available in my shop, but I mean on my website. But I don't know if I'm ready to go to prints yet. So how does what look, Kelly? Are you talking about how does the pic? How does pastel look in a photograph? I can tell you that there's no way you can see the richness and brilliance of the color in a photograph. I've tried every which way but loose to get my paintings to look like they do in real life in a photo, and it just won't happen. There's just no way to make it happen. The most recorded comment when people come in and actually look at my pieces in person, they go, wow, that's even better in person. So yeah, it's just one of those weird things with photographs. So doing the prints, I'm afraid that it just wouldn't have the richness, and maybe that's okay. Maybe I need to really push the prints just to get some sold. But like I make 25 cents off of each one, so that's another. I mean, it's 25 cents I didn't have before, right? But I agree, pastels are impossible to reproduce. Yeah, there's just no way. Um, I think part of it is the crystals of the pastel, and I'm not a pastelist that does a lot of rubbing, so I'm not crushing those crystals. I think they throw a lot of brilliance back at the camera that causes it to the camera to kind of go wonky, and then you have to do a lot of post production on it just to kind of get it close. So, Tammy, tell us about, have you ever had a time when you had to pivot? Has COVID caused you to have to pivot as far as job-wise or something like that? And tell us how successful it was when you did. I'd like to know that too. So moving forward, I decided to take the disability and try to kick off my own business and see how that'll do. In the meantime, my mom's been sick a couple of times and in the hospital, which I've been so grateful to be able to be with her and to help my dad out. Dad's 92, mom's 87. So yeah, I live right across the street from him, so it's really nice to be able to be there to help them. I would not trade that for all the financial security in the world. So I'm happy about that. Um, Decided, I live in quite a big house. It's a 4-bedroom house, 2 stories, 3 bedrooms upstairs, 1 bedroom downstairs. And so I thought, well, one of the things that I can do is I can rent out a bedroom downstairs, and that'll basically pay my mortgage, and I'll be able to um, pay, at least have a roof over my head while I'm doing this thing. So I put those um, wheels in motion, and then stuff hit the fan. I'll explain more of that in a minute. Tammy says, nothing has changed in my life. Only new thing is I wear a mask now. Hopefully, Tammy, you only wear it out, not in the house, right? I keep forgetting my mask. I'm at home so much that when I do go out, I forget to take it. And then I'm like, dang, I got to go back upstairs to go get it. Well, I guess that's nice, Tammy, that really you didn't have a lot of pivoting to do under the circumstances. Has there been another time in your life when you did have to? You had a big change, unexpected, and you had to um, fish or cut baits, the way they say it here. So, when I decided to rent out the room, I kind of cleaned it up and stuff, and then I found out, um, I guess you get to living in a house for a while and you think it's fine, but other people see like the age and the little roughed up parts in the carpet and that sort of stuff that you're kind of used to living with. Kelly says, have you tried a place that has a 3D printer? I have an area print shop that reproduced an acrylic for me by scanning painting, and it appeared to capture the texture. Kelly, did they have to put it face down on like a scanner glass of some kind? Because if they did, I'd worry about the pastel coming off on the scanner and causing a ghost image or something. Um, Pastel is uh, not nearly as fragile as some people like to say it is, but it does have, I mean, it is going to shed some pastel if it doesn't have glass over it. So I'd be concerned about that. Kyle says, I have my day job, but lost most of my freelance. Finances are tight, but that has helped motivate me. They didn't have to put it down to scan it. That's good. Kelly says, no, they didn't have to put it face down on a scanner to scan it. Well, I will have to check. We do have a print shop here. I have no idea if they have a 3D printer, but I can go check. That would be a thing because it would be fast and I could see the results right away. And then maybe I could like put the prints up at the gallery. I don't know if they would let me do that, but maybe the prints would sell better than the paintings. Who knows? That's an avenue to explore for sure. Scan face up. That's awesome. That makes me feel so much better. So I'll have to check that out. So my kids, who are all adults, started saying, "Mom, you're gonna have to do this, and you're gonna have to do that, and you're gonna have to do the other for people to want to rent this room." And I was actually kind of surprised because I didn't think that would be such a problem. I try to think back to my college days whenever we were, renting rooms from one another and staying in college dorms. And, we didn't sniff at a little carpet roughing up and stuff like that. I don't know. Plus, I said, "Mom, you're gonna have to move your studio upstairs. Nobody's gonna want," because my studio is actually in a storage room at the back of the garage, and I have to go past the rented bedroom in order to get to my studio. So they're saying they're not going to want you walking past the door. So um, I'm like, oh, I don't really have a good place upstairs to move my studio, but I'm looking at it to see if I can come up with a plan. So Tammy says, "I don't worry much when life changes. I'm a figure it out and go with the flow kind of person. Also, I save my money for hard times." Tammy, I need you to rub off on me, babe. I need you to rub off on me. Kyle says, "Depends on who you're renting to." Yeah, see, that's what I think. I think if the right person sees it, they're gonna look at it and go, "Yeah, that's okay." My youngest daughter is renting a room in an apartment with a mother and daughter, and they just share the house, the whole house. It's not a big deal. Like you have to stay out of each other's way or anything. So I thought it would work. So, but I can tell you that the dread of going to work under the conditions that I was having to go to work, not having that has made a huge difference. I actually feel really creative. I don't have to discipline myself to the creativity. It's made me feel like getting out and doing the business and digging in and doing other things. So I'm hoping that the money thing will motivate me too, Kyle. Make sure you make solid house rules. Some people can take advantage, not everyone. Right, Kyle. That was part of my plan. I do, like I have a renter contract and everything all ready to go whenever I finally get someone. And then I thought the first couple of weeks, we're going to sit down and talk about pet peeves and discuss our lifestyles and that sort of stuff, is see if we can head off stuff at the pass and get a feel for that. I am an overly trusting person and have been taken advantage of before. So hopefully be able to get some people in that have a little bit more discernment than I do. Has anybody else ever rented out part of their house, or maybe you were the renter in someone else's house? Yes, there is a full bath on the first floor. Indeed, there is. I called it a half bath because to me, if it only has a shower, it doesn't have a bath. So it must be a half bath, right? But that's apparently the wrong term entirely. And it is a full bath because it has a shower in it. And the laundry room's on the first floor, so they have access to that. They have this little room that I'm sitting in as a good sitting room. They'd have access to that, except for whenever having tea with y'all. One downside, if they don't like music, they're going to be in trouble because my music room's downstairs and I do practice on a daily basis. Your dad had two, Kyle says, my dad had two rent houses growing up. I have been both the renter and the landlord. One time we bought a house, and in the back yard, there was like a tiny house, sort of, and it was already rented out to a person, which we eventually, after a couple of years, sadly had to evict. So that wasn't a good experience. So I'm hoping not to repeat that. Ooh, time to warm up the tea. What are y'all drinking? Anything? So what else? Yeah, so my kids, Coke Zero. I love Coke Zero and blueberry tea. Yum. A Coke. Yes. Nothing strong enough. If you just came in, go ahead and type in the chat. Let us know that you're here. I'll give you a shout out. We are talking about pivoting under sudden changes like COVID, or finding out that you're going to be on leave from your job for a lengthy time, and what to do, especially as artists. I think all of us here right now are artists. So it's a whole different thing if you're an artist, I think. Um, so my kids came down and they've been helping me clean up the things that they think need cleaning up, and make beautiful the things that that need to make beautiful. And so that was a revelation to me yesterday. I was sitting and looking at my oldest daughter, and she was suggesting some changes that I was like, it's been that way for 20 years. We're not going to mess with that. And she said, do you want me to help you or not? And I sat there and I thought, you know what? Not just my job is got to change. Lots of things are going to have to change. So I'm going to have to open my hand and let go of what I thought it would look like, so that it can look like what it needs to look like. So too bad you're not in Dallas, Texas. I would probably rent from you. Yeah, Kyle, my middle daughter, who's a flight attendant and about to not have a job, or to be put on furlough, um, lives in the Dallas area. But it's so interesting because she said she wouldn't rent that room for me for what I'm charging for it, but I got the price from a realtor. And believe it or not, I've had multiple contacts about it. Most of them didn't read the ad because they would know that it wouldn't be appropriate for, say, a couple with 6 animals, or a couple that's about to have a baby, or a male, for instance, because I'm just not, probably that's not ideal situation for me. So Rafi and Clee, I gyrate, pivot, skip, jump, follow my face, and flail. It's pretty good. Yeah, that's that thing about dancing in the rain. We talk about it, right? But then whenever it's time to do it, I'm like, oh, it's wet out there. Hey, Bowie, Texas. All the Texas rogues ought to get together. Seriously. I'm glad y'all made it, Rafi and Clee. How's the weather? Do tell. So pivoting. What else? So they want me to move my studio upstairs, and I swear, guys, even though the room that I'm in down here is not that big, that bedroom upstairs is not that big either. And I have 2 tables, 2 6-foot tables in there, they're in an L shape. I don't know if any of you seen a picture of my studio, but one of them is just for like cutting paper because I buy the great big rolls of pastel paper and then I cut them myself because it's so much cheaper. So I have to have a whole table, and that roll is almost as long as the table. So the roll sits on the table, and I use that table for all kinds of things, drawing and projects and that sort of thing, framing, because I do a lot of my own framing. And then I have a whole table that's full of pastels and random assorted art stuff. So I just can't figure out how to make that work in that bedroom and keep the bed in there. So maybe I'll figure it out. I'm going to start holding things with an open hand and having different ideas and figuring out what to do. So is it like a printer roll? Like it's 54, it's a multiple of 8. 54 by however long. Like it's almost 6 feet long itself. And it's heavier than sin. So make the bed flip up. I did think of that. And that's a possible option as well. So I could just get rid of the bed, but I hate to do that because if I rent the bedroom downstairs, then there's only 3 bedrooms upstairs. One for me, one that they want me to turn into the studio, which is actually the master bedroom. And the other bedroom, we have 3 beds in it because that's where the grandkids stay whenever they come. So I wouldn't have a place for grown-ups to stay if I either got rid of the bed or some other permutation of the bed. Chain it to the ceiling. There you go. Okay, Shawan, hope you get back. So chain the bed to the ceiling. Now there's some thought. That's some creative thought. Hey, Rafi and Clee, I had a thought earlier today. We're always seeing kind of your studio, but like that looks to me like it's your whole house, other than maybe your bedroom and your kitchen. So y'all basically live in your studio. Is that right? Or do you have like a sitting area that's separate somehow? Murphy bed. Yes, I could do the blow up mattress thing. So that's a thought, to do a blow up mattress. And then I could just vacuum, I guess, in the studio and put everybody in the studio. In the new studio. So y'all live in your studio. Wow. Okay. That's amazing. I realize there's only the 2 of you, but I think sometimes I would like to walk away and not be surrounded by my work and give me a chance to not look at it for a while. So, yep, blow up mattresses is a possible option. All right, I'm just going to say, if you just arrived, feel free to type in the chat book and I'll give you a shout out. And we're talking about pivoting tonight, and I'm drinking tea. Some people are drinking Coke. Some people are drinking tea. Some people are drinking something stronger. And we're talking about pivoting during changes. Tammy says, for such a big change, you will most likely have to make changes that aren't your first pick. True. But I'd rather give it all I've got to have what I want just in case. As they say, if you shoot for the moon, at least you'll end up in the stars, which is completely astronomically wrong, but it's a good thought. Hi, Shawan. Glad you're back. Ruffy says the studio is set up as a fun space to hang out. Plus, we have a spot for hanging out away from the studio. Oh, good. Good. I'm glad because I think I would need that. I think I need to walk away sometimes. Kyle says your teaching sounds good. I'm so excited about it. And so there's Out School, and then there's some other things. Some of you may have heard of VIP Kid, which is teaching usually Asian kids English online. The hours are weird because you have to get up and teach when they're online. But I'm an early morning person anyway, so it would be okay. There's VIP Kid has made some changes that I'm not entirely thrilled with. So I went looking for some others. There's a whole bunch of others. So I'm thinking about getting a certain certification, only costs $20. And you can do it online for teaching English as a second language. So I might as well get that, right? And then I can expand even into that and teach English online as well. So, and the last week or so, my music students that had to drop due to Corona, we couldn't go online because they don't have good internet, have started coming back and requesting lessons. So I'll be picking that up. I've considered going ahead and putting a classified ad in the paper locally for the music lessons and see if I can drum up some more stuff. Since I'm all flexible now, I don't have to wait till after school. I can get the homeschoolers, I can get the adults during the day, and any other students after school. So those are all possible options that I'm working on. Tina, you made it. Yay. Welcome, Tina. So glad you're here. So, yeah, so focus on what's working and just getting more ideas too. So, hi. What are you drinking, Tina? I'm drinking rose oolong. So it's like I said, it's been a wild month. And I'm both super excited. I am very thrilled that I don't wake up in dread every morning of going back to work, and really wanting to make a go of this. So Tina says nothing yet, but I'm going to make a green tea matcha. Ooh, yum. That sounds delicious. That's what they use to do the tea ceremony, right? The Japanese tea ceremony. Thanks, Rafi. I feel partly one of the reasons that I feel so confident that this is going to be okay is because I have you guys all surrounding me, and I can see that it's being done. It's being done. I'm not a horrible artist. I may not be the top of the line, but I'm not horrible. People do buy my stuff. It's just a matter of connecting with the people who love my stuff. And of course, I can't stay with one thing. Now we're doing the fantasy thing, which I'm having a ball with. I'm a little stuck on Rolo's story. Poor guy. He's in a bad situation, and I've got to figure out how to get him out. So I really am. I'm excited, and I'm super grateful that I've been able to be here for my mom and dad. That's just huge. So, so yeah. Ravi says I'm a horrible artist, and people buy my crap. So of course they will buy your amazing work. I think that there are those few people who are stellar and we all want to be them. But I think that that does not negate the validity of the art that falls somewhere in the middle, and I feel like I'm kind of that person that falls somewhere in the middle. I'm not awful. I'm not stellar. I'm just sort of a good artist. And I'm happy with that because I get to do what I want. So, pivoting. We know Rafi has pivoted. Those of us who here who know Rafi and Klee have pivoted in a major ways and are looking at pivoting again. Tina, I think we all feel we fall in the middle. That it's all relative. That's probably true. That's probably true. It's all relative. So, anybody else want to talk about pivoting and how we're doing that? So this week, I just got a couple more classes approved over on OutSchool. One called, I thought up some really cool titles. Now I just have to think of the name of it. Time travel, music geek time travel, the Baroque period. So we're going to study the Baroque period, and we're going to make this cool little lap book thing. And I think that I'll get some signups for that. I'm having a ball with my sketchbook hangouts, even though I've only got one kid in one of them. And he was really looking forward to some other kids in the class, but we have had so much fun. And his grandmother even joined us for the Friday class last week. That was super fun. I can't wait till I get my first overseas student. That's going to be super fun. Want to be them? They are all dead. Kelly. No, there's some stellar artists out there that are not dead. Rafi says, pivoting, in my opinion, is trying all the crazy fun things that pop into your head before you have time to talk yourself out of it. Also, staying flexible and willing to change direction all the time. Yeah, Rafi, we were talking about before y'all got in here. I think it was before you got in here and renting the room and how my kids came to help and how I just had to kind of sit down for a minute and realize that things that have been the same for 20 years, it's time for them to change. It's okay if they change. The thing that really kind of brought me up short was when they said, Mom, we need to move the daddy chest. Let me tell you about the daddy chest. It was made by a friend of mine's father for me. She knew my husband too, and so she was devastated as I was whenever he was killed. And she had a chest that she used as a coffee table, and it just had memorabilia and stuff in it. And so when my husband died, her father made me one of those chests. So we collected a whole bunch of memorabilia too, and it's all in that chest. And there was the perfect spot for it in my new house. 20 years ago, it was new. And so we put it there, and we put some, pictures and just some more memorabilia around it that was decorative. And it's been there the whole time. It's out of the way. It's on the lower floor though, and right outside the bathroom, that the renter would use. And they're like, Mom, you have to move it. People are going to think that's creepy. It's not creepy to us, but it'll be creepy to them because they didn't know him. And I was like, it's not in the way. They're like, Mom, it's creepy. So, so they finally talked me into going ahead and moving it. So, and we didn't have to move it far. It's in the music room where I'll see it every day, which doesn't matter. We all walk past it without even thinking about it most of the time, but it's special. So, that was where I came to the well, but they would know what it is. Kelly says only if they know what it is. They would know what it is because there's a collage of pictures of him there. There's the the casket piece that we had was a twig cross with fake flowers on it. So I kept that and it hangs up there. It's obviously a memorial. So it might be a little creepy. Yeah, sometimes you have to move the creepy chest. Well, like I said, I just kind of came to myself at that moment and said, "Look, it's not just your work life that has to change. It's time to really pivot, and when you pivot, everything changes." So, and so at that moment, I decided I'm going to open my hands and let it yeah, it's just a new phase. This house has served me well. It's time for it to serve me in a different capacity. And so we're just going to make those changes that we need to make. So, true stuff. So, everything evolves and changes. And it's time. I'm ready. Let's go. It's not going to look like what I thought it was going to look like. But then I don't remember a time in my life when anything did. Cheers to life. Ravi says, I had to let go of 40 years and a 3,000 square foot house worth of stuff. Yeah, whoa. I thought I was going to hate it and I would not trade it for anything. Yeah, I think that's eventually, I hope that's eventually where I'm going here, that I wouldn't trade it for anything. I know I wouldn't trade the opportunities that are open to me right now for anything. The working out of it, that's a whole different deal. But Tina says, you only collect rust when you stop moving forward. That's right. So, and I feel a little bit, Tina, like maybe I had stopped kind of moving forward like I ought to, because I was hanging on to that security of that regular paycheck. Despite the fact that it, has destroyed my voice and my mental health and many other things, not least of which could be my reputation. So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, Rafi, I love that you are putting yourself in these uncomfortable positions because wow, growth. Yeah, I'm going to grow through this. Kyle says it can be scary to pivot. It has always worked in my world. Proof. I am alive right now. I lost my home and car at one pivot, but then suddenly got a great job in Chicago for 3 years. That's great, Kyle. That's very encouraging to hear. And I'm looking for that. I'm looking for the great opportunity. Instead of the one that I feel forced into. So, yeah, reputations are overrated. Yeah, I think in this case that's a possibility. I'm not sure that the source will be taken seriously anyway, so we'll be good there. But yeah. So, and another thing that's on the table is just completely moving out of this house. So yes, it's been mine. It was built for me and my family. It's been mine for 20 years. It'll be 20 years in May that we moved in. My dad built it, so it has a lot of emotional attachments with it. But there's always an end to everything, and my kids don't live here. My grandkids don't live here. Um, I could move actually into my parents' house. They have an upstairs apartment that would be an awesome studio, like awesome. And so, but I do have 20 years worth of accumulated, you know what, that I'm going to have to start going through. And I'm going to start going through it anyway because pivot, you have to be ready, right? So, I'm ready to get rid of a bunch of this stuff that's just hanging around, things like old sleeping bags, really. They've been sitting there for 20 years, no one's used them. So, old sleeping bags and tools that I don't use. Rafi says, I lost my job, my kids, my house, my cars, my reputation, and I'm happier now than I have ever been. It's just letting go of the emotional stuff that we hold on to that sometimes reminds me of carrying tons of stuff on your back. Kelly, yes, yard and art sale. Yes, indeed. So it's at some point that is definitely a deal. I kind of like doing it with Facebook Marketplace though, because it's not like I have to drag everything out in the yard, right? And price it all. Yeah. a yard, a yard sale. I love it. I'll do it if y'all will come. Let's have a yard sale together. You can all bring your, we'll all bring all of our art. So look, Michaels wants me to buy something from them. Cool. I never buy anything from Michaels. So, yep, I know, OutSchool. I need to schedule some things. So yeah, I have to go on and schedule classes for OutSchool and stuff like that after I get off here. And so I'm excited about that. Any questions, observations, or random quotes about anything that you want to say? Now's the time. You have 5 minutes. So, Rafi, I'm glad that y'all are on hold for that terrible weather. Rafi says, I have one observation. Let's see if I can guess what it is. Go ahead and type it. Kyle says, you can do it. I certainly can. With all the encouragement from you guys, I can do it. And you guys can too. Those of you who are in the midst of kind of pivoting, we'll be there together. Tammy says, shoot for the stars and plan for a crash. Shh, shh. Don't say the crash thing. My worry brain will wake up. My monkey brain will wake up. Rafi says, Esther, you are amazing as an artist, as a human, and you have this in the bag. You are so ready. Thank you, Rafi. And you guys, like I said, have to be credited with part of that. Finding a community that understands the artist mentality and what we have to do as artists and what it takes to be an artist. Because there are a lot of people around me, like the kids, they love me and they want the best for me. And I do trust their judgment, but they're not artists. And so there are some parts of this that they don't get. They're also young and I taught them. So I know they don't have all the stuff, okay? Unless they went and got it somewhere else. Tammy says, just have a workable plan B. Less worry that way. Tammy, there are no workable plan Bs at this point. I'm just going to look for the plan B. Kelly, what's your commission of? Oh, the commission that I got for the acrylics. It's a house portrait for a friend. So she really wanted two, but the other one she wanted was so big that it was going to be prohibitively expensive. And she doesn't want it framed, so I can't use pastels. So yeah, we're gonna try acrylic. What the hey? If I don't get it on the first try, I'll try again till I get it. Rafi says, my kids love me, but they think I'm nuts. Yeah. Well, mine are very supportive, especially of the art, because they can see that it like literally saved my life. But they don't get having to make your living with it. So I mean, they just that's a whole new world for them. They're artistic in their own ways, into dance and creative stuff, but they don't have to make a living with it. So it's a different deal. House portrait. Talk to real estate companies about offering your service to new home buyers. Yes, Rafi, just as soon as I get this one done, I will be using that as a portfolio and a reference. So, and you know, what the heck? It's acrylic. I like acrylic. I've painted all over my house. Someday I need to take y'all on a tour of my house, and show you the stuff I've done on the walls when we first moved in here. So, I can show you some of the worst of it. Some of the worst of it. You can see. Sorry about the light. So there's more where that came from, but and upstairs too. So wonders of acrylics, paint over it. Yeah, gesso over that baby and do it again. So, all right, guys, it is 8 p.m. Unless you have other observations or something pressing that you want to say, I am going to say good night. Have a lovely one. And we'll do this again in, I don't know, about a month. Tammy says, taking on acrylic is part of a plan B. Yes, ma'am, it is. Good night. I love you all. Thanks for being here. You're part of the reason and you're part of the wonder. Wonderful people. Bye-bye.